Hey guys, Richard Aficionado channel and reefs.com. Thank you for joining me today. Today I'd like to do a little tank special featuring one of the up and coming YouTubers in our industry. His name is Blaine and his handle for social media as well as YouTube is Tide Corals. And I have seen Blaine for about a year now on all his ventures and his following his YouTube journey. And he's one of the people that I wanted to recommend to you guys and show you what he's been up to and what makes him so unique. So with that said, let's go check out his tank and what he has to say. Let's go.
What's going on, reefers? My name's Blaine. I also go by Tide Corals on YouTube. I want to first of all say thank you so much to Richard from reefs.com for allowing me to showcase my 25-gallon lagoon soft coral paradise tank. I'm really excited to walk through it with you guys, so let's go ahead and check it out. Now that I've gotten the chance to introduce myself, I want to introduce the tank I'm going to be talking about today. This is my Innovative Marine Nuvo Fusion 25 Lagoon. I love this tank. I've had this tank for a very long time. This is one of the first renditions of this 25 Lagoon done by Innovative Marine. I think it's a really fun tank, has a really cool footprint, and I've been a huge fan always of kind of shallower reef tanks, more lagoon style. I really like that. I appreciate that kind of look, and it works out for my desk. The way I view it when I'm sitting down, I'm able to see the full system. So I really like that. We'll go ahead and jump right into talking about equipment first. Not a huge equipment head, but I definitely want to talk about what's running this system, what makes it tick, and then we'll get into the fun stuff, the livestock, the fish, and all of that good stuff. So as for what's running this system, it's all run on a Neptune system, a Neptune Trident, Apex system down here, and then I have the Dose as well, but I'm not currently running that, just due to the fact that I'm able to supplement just with water changes. So that's what's kind of running the system as of right now. It keeps everything up to date. I'm able to view it, through their dashboard and all that good stuff, which is really nice. I appreciate that. So it's nice to have a little peace of mind. As for auto top off, I have the Duetto system, the Duetto ATO kit. This is where the water enters into the system. And then down low here, I have the reservoir, the ATO reservoir, hanging out in the closet space, so it's not out and about. Overall, though, I really like that auto top-off kit. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward, and easy to use. As for skimming, I have the eShop's Nano Skimmer. I really like this piece. It's a very good piece to have for a nano tank. If you guys are looking to pull some nutrients out, add a nano skimmer to your system. I think this is a really great candidate, and I definitely would recommend it. I really enjoy it. It skims really well, and it does a good job for a smaller tank. You're not able to fit a lot of stuff into these back chambers of, these all-in-one tanks. So I try to do my best to utilize all the space possible and get whatever kind of filtration and kind of tools and equipment that I need to be able to have my tank run a little bit better. We also have a UV sterilizer. This is the Innovative Marine UV sterilizer that fits directly into this chamber right here. It's the return chamber, one of two. There's also this one on this side, which has an in-tank media holder. It has filter floss, and then I do a ChemiPure blue bag that I also put in there. I also have a lid on top of my tank because I want to make sure I'm not going to lose any of my fish. The lid is super important to me, and it was custom made by Top Lids. Big shout out to them. I snagged this from them, bought it, and I really like it. I think it looks good. It looks far better than any other lid I've ever had on a tank. Has a very clean look, doesn't look raggedy, and I really like it because it keeps my fish and all that good stuff inside the system. As for lighting, we are running the XR15 Pro, and I'm really liking it. This is the Gen 6. I just got this from Ecotech. Shout out to them. I'm loving this light. I think it looks really good, and I think it gives me a more natural spectrum for my tank. The blue was a little too blue. I mean, we've talked about this before. It makes sense, right? It's called the XR15 Blue. Why would it not be a more blue kind of channel? So I think the Pro fits my kind of look and feel a little bit more, and I really like how it's turned out in this tank. So that's pretty much for equipment. Oh, as well, we have a Neotherm Cobalt heater in the back. I like that. And then the return pump is a Celts D high door. I really like that. It's a DC pump. It's really nice. You have a little control right down here below, so you're able to hit it into the feed mode and all that good stuff. Celts DC high door. Yeah, I really liked it. I really do like it. It's been running pretty good. I've had it for a couple years now on this tank, and I really enjoy it. So that's pretty much for the equipment that we have in the system. Let's go ahead and jump in and start talking about the corals and the fish. When it comes to the corals that live in this tank, I have a lot of really special pieces. And when it comes to the main theme of the tank, it's soft corals everywhere. I have a ton of soft corals when it comes to mushrooms, toadstools, sinularias, nephtheas. I have a bunch of different things that are kind of hidden throughout this tank, and I really like them. There's a lot of very special pieces like the weeping willow from Remy Bahama Llama Coral. There's a toadstool from Inland Reef that's very special to me, a good friend of mine. There's also a piece that I got from this past year's reef stock that's living in this tank as well. So there's a lot of pieces that I'm going to show you guys, but we'll kind of go from rock to rock and talk about the individual corals and kind of what's going on. So we'll start off in the back of the tank. We have a Powerball mushroom hanging out on a little P&W custom rack, and then we also have an OG Bounce. These two mushrooms are kind of my show mushrooms here in the tank. I used to have a really large collection of bounce mushrooms. Sadly lost them during shipping when I was coming south. But I've kind of recollected and picked up some pieces, and these two mushrooms right here in the back are some really choice ones. Moving on to the front left rock of the aquascape, I have a group of a couple jawbreaker mushrooms, some discomas right in the front of the tank. They've started to kind of reproduce. I've seen the big one with a lot of the red has started to show some babies trailing off, so that's really exciting. Above that is a little piece of sinularia that I found from a local fish store. It had a lot fuzzier look to it when it was in its local shop, and now it's not nearly as fuzzy. I haven't gotten it to show nearly as much polyps. I'm going to be adding an MP10 here in the future, so maybe that'll help produce a little bit more polyp extension. Maybe it just needs to get a little bit more flow going. Right above that piece is the Bahama Llama Weeping Willow. This is a very special piece to me and a piece that I really love. It's a beautiful piece too. It's one of the nicest toadstools I've ever had the opportunity to have and own. So I really cherish that piece, and it's one of my favorites. Now we'll go ahead and start talking about the middle part of the aquascape. There's a lot of toadstools in this section, and they look very similar, but they're all different. They come from different strains, and they're actually from different mother colonies and actually from different states. So it's very cool that I was able to collect these toadstools. They're all very special to me. The long one in the back, the bigger one that's kind of laid down, that's my oldest piece of coral that I've had. I've had that piece for around 5 to 6 years. It's dropped so many babies I can't even count that I've given away and kind of traded throughout the hobby. And then moving to the right, we have two more really bigger toadstools, kind of tan toadstools. One of those on the sand bed comes from Inland Reef, a good friend of mine, Tyler. Thank you for this piece. It's a beautiful toadstool. Looks really great. I really enjoy it. And then the one directly above it was a frag that I received at a little coral farmer's market. I was told it was a quote-unquote willow. I don't really kind of go by those. I just think a lot of these quote-unquote willows are just really nice long polyp toadstools. And it's turned out to be a really nice toadstool that does have some pretty long polyps. The clownfish love to kind of hang out in that, and that's one of the places they'll sleep throughout the night. There's two other green toadstools. There's your classic Tide toadstool down in the bottom right, and then above that, in between the two tan ones, is a green toadstool from a local shop in Roseville, Aqualife. This came from a local that just would bring it in at times, and it's got some really interesting chunky polyps to it. It's got a very interesting look to it. I really like it, and it's different, so wanted to add it to this space. In the back of that rock is a nice piece of Julian Sprung's Gorgonian. Not exactly sure what this species of Gorgonian is, but this comes from Julian Sprung's tank, and I snagged it from Unique Corals. So a very cool piece. It's grown really well, and I'm excited to see how it's going to continue here in the future. Moving to the right of the scape, we'll talk about some more coral, but first we'll talk about an animal on the front part of this rockscape, and that's the Colorado sunburst anemone. This isn't a coral, it's an animal, but I threw it into the coral section because it kind of just fits in well with that. This anemone is very nice. It's a bubble tip anemone, the Colorado sunburst. I got this from Thirsty's Reef. Very great vendor. Was really glad to be able to snag it. I actually guessed the right price on an Instagram Black Friday, and I was able to get it, and I added it to my tank. And I think it looks really great. I was worried about it walking around, but I'm crossing my fingers. It just will want to keep to stay there, and I think it looks great right there, smack in the front. Right behind that's a green Sinularia, a very nice piece, a beautiful piece that's grown over time. I fragged it several times now. But it's definitely one of the show pieces in the tank. It's very large. It's got two main, I would say, trunks to it. And then behind that is another nice Nephthya sort, I believe. And it's a bluish green Nephthya or Sinularia that I think is very nice, and it fits well into this tank. It creates some good height for the system. But overall, that's mainly all the corals that we have in this tank. Oh, I also have a really cool Worldwide Corals cabbage leather. It's kind of a strain that I've never really seen too often. It's purple in color, but the polyps are like a very bright green. So it's really cool. Very special piece to me as well. One that actually made the fiasco of shipping down south. I talked about this in a previous video. You can see what happened to my original stocking, but I sadly lost most of it. But we've rebuilt and we've created another awesome soft coral paradise. And that is basically what we have for when it comes to corals. Let's go and talk about the fish stock that we have in the tank and what inverts we have as well. As for fish, we only currently have the 2 Percula clownfish that are wild caught from Papua New Guinea. I was able to source these from Striker's Reefing, a quarantine fish shop. They're an awesome company. They did a great job at sourcing these. I've also grabbed a Tomini tang from them, and all the fish that I've gotten from them have come in great shape, and I really think they do a good job of quarantining and getting fish right to live in aquarium environments. I'm really liking these clownfish. They're beautiful, and they definitely love to hang out and about in all of the different things in the tank. They love their anemone, they love the Sinularia, they love the toadstools. They kind of hang out in all, and so nothing has kind of been a favorite of theirs. As of recently, it's been one of the long polyp toadstools has been kind of their favorite that they've been living in the most. But honestly, they just like to kind of hang out and move about the tank all throughout the day. As for what I'm feeding these guys, it's a mix of different things, mainly Reef Nutrition products. Shout out to Reef Nutrition. I feed the TDO Chroma Boost to them. I feed the Mysis Feast. I feed all kinds of different stuff, the brine shrimp, all that stuff from Reef Nutrition, Oyster Feast, and these fish take to pretty much everything. They like all of it, and so it's really fun to see them during feeding. As I've grown closer with them, they've kind of learned that I'm the one that's feeding them, and so they're really active whenever I come up to the tank and start walking around, especially when I have food in my hands. When it comes to the inverts and the cleanup crew that we currently have in this tank, I have a group of Trochus snails that are doing most of the work on the film algae, and I have a group of a couple Nerit snails that also are working around in the sand bed, and I have some bumblebee snails that I believe have made the trip from down or from up north when they came down south on the live rock. I have a group of macroalgae as well inside this tank, some Gracilaria hyia, and then also Codium. There's a lot of really cool macros that I think would fit into this tank, but those are the 2 species I currently have. I also have bubble algae. I'm sure you guys have seen as I've walked around the tank. There's a little bit of an issue with bubble algae, but I'm not too worried about that. We're gonna keep working at it, naturally working it off, and being the herbivore, you know, whenever I do water changes, I like to pull off as much as possible. So that's pretty much it for the cleanup crew here in the tank. And that's it for the fish as well. Just the 2 clownfish, but definitely looking about adding maybe some gobies or some other fish that I can add into this tank. Maybe a wrasse as well. Once again, I want to say thank you so much to Richard for allowing me to come onto his channel, hijack it for the day, and showcase my reef tank. It was a lot of fun talking with you all about the Tide Corals Lagoon. This has been one of my favorite projects, so it was really cool to be able to walk it over again with myself, show you guys all the things, and kind of relish in the progression myself. So It was a really fun time to be able to share this video here on Richard's channel. So thank you so much again, and I hope to see you guys soon over at the King Tide Corals channel.